Hello and assalamu alaikum, everyone. A very warm welcome to the Advanced Audit and Assurance Webinar to Success for December 2021 exams. I am your tutor, Kashif Kamran. Welcome to the final day, the day 5 of this webinar to success. Let's see what is the agenda we have for the final day. Now, on this final day, I will be focusing on the syllabus area F, which is other assignments, and I'll be looking at two other assignments today, one being the due diligence and one being the audit of performance information. And then in the last 45 minutes or so, I will be focusing on the final tips and techniques just to ensure you get success in the upcoming December 21 exams. So we have a very diversified agenda today. Firstly, looking at the syllabus area F and then looking at the exam tips and techniques. So welcome all of you to the day 5, the final day of this webinar to success. And let's move directly to the agenda, because I need to talk a lot today because this is the last day. So not just completing the other assignments, I would be talking to you about the exam tips and techniques, which is extremely important. Now, first of all, when you look at the agenda of the day 5 on your screen, the agenda is to look at the other assignments. Now, you know, other assignments is a syllabus area F. If you have watched the day 1, on the day 1, I guided you that syllabus area F can only come in section B. Now, in section B, we know there are 2 questions. One of them definitely is from syllabus area E, which we were discussing yesterday, completion and reporting. So syllabus area E is must in the section B. Other assignments can come, cannot come. So sometimes you do see other assignments in section B and sometimes you don't. So other assignments to me is a regular area, but not like you see it in every single exam sitting. But yes, it's an important area which really do impact your 100 marks paper. So we'll be looking at a summary of a 100 marks paper at the end of the session today. In the last 45 minutes, when I'll make you realize what a 100 marks paper looks like, and you will be amazed how much this webinar must have benefited you that in terms of that, right? Now, 2 of the other assignments comes today. One is the audit of performance information, and one is the due diligence review. In total, how many other assignments we have? We have in total 4 in the syllabus, right? So one is the review of the prospective financial information, and one is the forensic audit. Now, how would you ensure you have a complete focus of other assignments for December exams? For that, I will be guiding you shortly. The agenda for the day 5, there is one article, audit of performance information. There is no article on due diligence. So you just need to read one article on audit of performance information, and that would be very good for you. We'll be looking at the examiner do's and don'ts. We'll be looking at 2 exam paper, one from December 17, one from December 14, the question number 3A and the question number 3B. One is for audit of performance information and one is for a due diligence review. And I've tried picking up more latest questions on these subject matters. Your home assignments will be to complete the questions we are discussing in the webinar today, and then you have to watch the previous recommended webinars. Okay, I hope you all can hear me, right? Okay, thank you for that. Okay, that's great. So the previous webinars, look at these 3 on your screen. Now, how many assignments we have in your syllabus? 4. Now, I've covered each and every one of them in my previous webinar. So I carefully selected the ones you should watch. You should watch the September 21 webinar because it will give you a very good guidance on the review of prospective financial information. That's number 1. Then you should watch the March 21 webinar. That will give you guidance on the due diligence review. That's number 2. Forensic, that's number 3. And again, in the March 21 webinar, because I covered the other assignments on 2 days, I kept 2 days in the March 21 webinar on other assignments. I think that was the day 4 and day 5. So again, in the March 21 webinar, you will be looking at audit of performance information. That is the 4th. So all 4 assignments have been covered. So will you be able to cover the full course if you watch the previous webinars, everyone? So please ensure you spend time on these hyperlinks and you go over all the 4 assignments and you have a complete focus of syllabus area F. If it comes to your December 21 exams, you will be excellently prepared for that. So previous webinars to watch for other assignments. Today, we are doing due diligence review and the audit of performance information, considering they sound a bit more important for December 21 exams. That's the reason for doing them in this webinar. Okay, let's start the agenda. Let me take on my Word file today. I hope you can all see the Word file in front of your screen now for the day 5. Everyone, thank you. Okay, let's start. What's the agenda for the 5th day? Okay, the objective today for the 5th day, we are looking at 2 things, rather 3 things today, right? First, we are looking at due diligence review. Then we are looking at an audit of performance information, And then we are looking at tips and techniques for December 21 exams. So 3 things today, and that will wrap up the final day. Okay, let's first start with a focus on syllabus area F, which we are going through today. So let's first focus on the syllabus area F. Now, when you look at the syllabus area F, all of you have to be very sure that the syllabus area F is about other assignments, and there are 4 in your syllabus. There are 4 in your syllabus, right? Now, all the 4 has been covered in the previous webinars. I've just shared the links with you before coming to the Word file. I hope you know the links, right? Now, there are 4 in your syllabus, right? Now, when you look at the other assignments and you know there are 4 in your syllabus, and if you just list the 4, the one is forensic, one is audit of performance information, one is due diligence review, and one is the review of prospective financial information. Now, we are covering the 2 today, but out of the 4, when you look at forensic and when you look at the audit of performance information, you have an examiner article on these 2, right? So at least you can get knowledge. There is an examiner article, the ones I recommended you on the day 1 to read, and there is an examiner article for this as well, the one I recommended you today to read. So at least out of the 4 other assignments, 2 of them has examiner article, right? So can you cover up the knowledge areas from this? Yes. But the other 2 assignments, due diligence has no article, review of prospective financial information has no article. But if you watch my previous webinar, I believe you don't need to read the books. So there is no need to read the book for due diligence. There is no need to read the book for review of prospective financial information. Only the knowledge of the previous webinars is good enough, right? Okay, now moving further. When you move further into the syllabus area F and you look at how it comes to your exam paper, section B. When you look at the section B of the syllabus of your AAA paper, section B consists of 2 questions, whereby in some exam settings, other assignment can be tested in one of the questions of section B. Now, it's not every exam sitting. Suppose you get a question on other assignment in March, you get a question on other assignment in June, September, December. No, that's not that way. You might come across a question in March, and then in June, you might not come across it. Then it might come back in September. So it comes often, but not regular. So section B consists of 2 questions, right? One of them has to be on syllabus area E, which we were discussing yesterday, whereby in some exam sittings, other assignments have been tested. Other assignments have been tested in one of the question of section B, right? So you have to be watchful of this syllabus area. Now, moving onwards and looking at the agenda we have today for other assignments. Now, the agenda we have today is first to look at a due diligence review. Let's start that first. And just let's focus on what you need to know about due diligence review. Let's go back to the presentation. Now, when you look at the presentation back, on the left-hand side is the due diligence, and on the right is the audit of performance information. First of all, what you should know for due diligence, you should know the requirements of the exam paper, which comes on due diligence, and you should know the examiner expectation. What exactly the examiner asks for in a question on due diligence, number 1. How to go about knowledge. From where will you recover the knowledge for due diligence? I've just mentioned my webinars. Marking scheme. What is exactly the marking scheme of the due diligence topic? And when examined in past paper, what past papers are there for due diligence? Look at this. How many past papers you need to practice for due diligence? 3 of them. And I've covered them in all my webinars. So when you watch my previous webinars, each one of them has been covered. Now, December 17 is what we are doing today, this one. But when you look at the previous ones, don't be worried about it because they have been covered in the previous webinars, right? So you need to know 4 things: the marking scheme for due diligence, when it was examined in the past paper, and how to go about knowledge and requirements, which comes in the exam paper. Knowledge, watch my previous webinars, right? So only the previous webinars would be sufficient for this, and you don't need to go to the books, right? Requirements, I will be going over them today. Marking scheme, I will be guiding about them today. So you will be very satisfied with that. And then watching the previous webinars on due diligence will make you 100% fit for this topic. Let's start down the journey and let's put in place the question on your screen and then start to interact about due diligence as a topic. So I'll be doing the vice versa today. I'll first put the question and then we'll understand the knowledge of the topic due diligence. Okay, let me first put the question December 17 on your screen. Question number 3A. Okay, I hope you can see the December 17 paper on your screen now. Just let me remove the annotations from it so it becomes neat and clean for all of you. And then you can start doing it. Okay, can you see the December 17 paper on in front of your screen, everyone? Question number 3A. Okay, good. Now, you will read this question and then I'll give you the knowledge. When you're reading this question, read it very carefully. Identify how many companies are there in this case study, who is the auditor, who is the buyer, who is the seller, and you go through the information, right? Look at the requirements before you start reading the case study. The requirements are pretty simple. The requirement says, let me copy these requirements on my Word file. There are 2 requirements. Let's first evaluate the requirements and then come back, giving you the time to read this case study. Let's go back to the support file. For due diligence review, we're looking at the December 17 question number 3A first, and we'll go to the knowledge thereafter. Now, when you look at the requirement for due diligence review, it says, in respect of the 2 matters identified above, explain why each matter requires further investigation and recommend the procedures to be performed there 6 and 6 marks are allocated. Now, pretty simple question if you look at it, if you know the terminologies in the AAA paper. Now, I hope you must have realized from my previous 4 days that how important is to read the requirements, right? How important is to read the requirements. So let's read the requirements and let's understand what is this requirement telling us in respect of the 2 matters identified above. So how many matters are there above? 2. So we can put a heading over here, matter 1, and we can put a heading over here, matter 2. Now what we have to do for matter 1 and matter 2, for each matter, why each matter requires further investigation as part of a due diligence review. So why each matter requires further investigation as part of a due diligence review. So for the matter 1, whatever the matter 1 is, why the matter 1 requires further investigation, number 1. And for the matter 2, whatever the matter 2 is, why the matter 2 requires further investigation. So first of all, we have to focus on why each matter requires further investigation to score marks. And the total 6 marks bifurcated into matter 1 and matter 2. Then you have to recommend the procedures to be performed on matter 1 and matter 2. So for matter 1, you need to write procedures. For matter 2, you need to write procedures. Now, what you can do is, even though the question is not telling you marks are equally split between matter 1 and matter 2, so you can write more on matter 1 and you can write less on matter 2, or you can write more on matter 2 and less on matter 1. That's totally your option. You have total 12 marks, right? But for example, if you have 12 marks, you keep 6 marks for matter 1 and you keep 6 marks for matter 2. But you can keep more for one matter and less for the other matter. That's totally your option, because examiner is not telling you marks are equally split. Now, when you have 6 marks, how many things you have to do for 6 marks in first matter? For 6 marks, how many things you have to do for matter 1? And for 6 marks, how many things you have to do for matter 2? 2 things, right? Procedures and why. Now, why each matter requires further investigation? The marking scheme says that every time you review a due diligence matter, every due diligence matter is worth 1.5 marks. 1.5 marks per due diligence matter. Per due diligence matter. Yeah, yesterday we were discussing the reporting question, right? In a reporting question, every matter was worth 1 mark. Now, in a due diligence, every matter is worth 1.5 marks. I hope you're clear with the marking scheme here. So every Y will give you 1.5 marks. Now, if you write 2 Ys, how many marks will you get in total out of 6? If you write 2 Ys, how many marks will you get out of 6? 3. Good. Now, every procedure is pretty simple, right? Every procedure is worth 1 mark. Is worth 1 mark. So the number of procedures you write, you will gain 1 mark per procedure. Now it's up to you how many procedures you want to write and how many Ys you want to write. You can write more Ys and less procedures, or you can write less procedures and more Ys. It's totally up to you. So examiner is not saying marks are equally bifurcated. So when marks are not equally bifurcated, you can keep more marks for something, less marks for something. But can you skip a requirement? Can you skip a requirement? Can you skip procedures? You say, okay, I'll write all Ys and no procedures. No. You say, okay, I'll only consume my 12 marks on matter 1 and I don't even write the matter 2. At least you cannot do that. But can you write something more and something less in the context of the 12 marks? Can you write something more and something less? For example, one student allocate 8 marks to matter 1 and 4 marks to matter 2. That's fine. But you cannot make something 0. So is everyone clear with the requirements? How to go about it? So how many matters we have in the case study? 2. And you need to tell me in 5 minutes after reading the case, why each matter requires further investigation as part of a due diligence review. I'll share the knowledge with you that what exactly is a due diligence review, and you will understand why each matter requires further investigation as part of due diligence review. Right? Let's start the journey. Let's go back to the case. Let's put the case in front of you. Just let me make it smaller. Okay, can you see the full case in front of your screen and you can read it out from the start to the end? Is the font visible to you? Is it readable to you? Okay, you have exactly 5 minutes. Start reading now and see which two matters are in the case and why they require further investigation. Your time starts now. 5 minutes. Keep a pen and paper with you. Okay, another 2.5 minutes. So just be quick and wrap up the case. I'll be asking you many questions and you will be amazed how much you can learn from just one question, and you will believe how easy is it to recall this topic, due diligence, from just this one exam paper. I'm just setting the question on the Word file. In the meantime, you're reading it, so we don't waste time, and we just wrap up the answer within the span of 30 minutes after we start looking into the case study, because we have other agendas today on the last day, and every agenda should get a good enough time. Okay, Zayan, I've noted your answers. What's the status? Have all of you have all of you done with the reading of most of the case? Okay, that's great. So that's great. That's great. So if you have read the case honestly and diligently and skeptically, there is a lot to learn, because we are using this question as a benchmark question to make you realize what exactly you have to do in a question on due diligence. Now, this is the most latest question we have on due diligence published. The other questions are not published. So going onwards to 18 exams and 19 exams and 20 exams and 21 exams, even though if due diligence has come in a certain exam sitting, it's not been published. So this is a latest published question, which at least we can use as a benchmark question. Now, what I've done in the middle when you were reading it, I just took the question to my Word file. I hope you can see this right on the Word file. Now, I'm discussing this with you. I just omitted the first paragraph, which was telling us about the audit firm. The name of the audit firm was Lappert Company. So I just ignored that out. And we're just focusing on from the para 2. Now, listen to me very carefully. The engagement is to conduct a financial and operational due diligence review of Zebra. So what you want to conduct? You want to conduct a due diligence review of Zebra. Who is a Zebra? Zebra is the seller, a company which has been identified as a potential acquisition by Cheetah Company. Who is the Cheetah Company? The buyer. So Cheetah Company is the buyer, and the Cheetah Company wants to buy Zebra Company. What is the relationship between Zebra and Cheetah? Is Cheetah the buyer and is Zebra the seller? True, false? Okay, true, good. So who we are the auditor, right? We are the auditor, Leopard. And Leopard has to perform a due diligence of the seller or the buyer. They have to perform the due diligence of the seller. Zebra Company, they have to perform a due diligence review of the Zebra Company. What happened to all of you? Look at this line here, a due diligence review of the Zebra Company. Who is hiring the Leopard Company? Who is hiring the Leopard Company? The buyer. Who is hiring the Leopard Company? Cheetah. Cheetah is the buyer. And whose diligence are you performing? Whose diligence are you performing? Seller, Zebra. And to whom you should present the report of diligence? To whom you should present the report of diligence? Cheetah, which is the buyer, right? So one is a buyer, one is a seller, and one is the auditor. And Cheetah wants to acquire Zebra due to the synergies offered and the potential to expand the existing production facility. So that's the reason they want to acquire. Fine. As part of the due diligence review, now when you are conducting a due diligence review, what you should do? As part of the due diligence review by Leopard, you have been asked to provide a valuation of the Zebra Company assets and liabilities. So what's the first scope? The first scope is that you have to perform a valuation of the Zebra Company assets and liabilities. So that's what you need to do as Leopard. Number two, and an analysis of the company's operating profit forecast. So you need to analyze the company's operating profit forecast. So how many things you need to do as Leopard when you're conducting diligence of Zebra? Two things. One is the valuation of the assets and liabilities, and one is the analysis of the company's operating profit forecast, right? Okay. This will assist Cheetah Company in determining the price for Zebra. So who will determine the price, the auditor or the buyer? Cheetah Company will determine the price. This is so crucial. And this is a common mistake the student do in the exam paper. Who determines the price in a due diligence? Never the auditor, never the auditor. The auditor only share information with you. The auditor only share information with you, like the valuation of assets and liability, like the future operating profit forecast. And on that information, the buyer decides the price. So never the auditor, right? Never the auditor decides the price. Now understand, let's take a quick knowledge on due diligence. I think some of you have annotated on the screen. If you can just remove that. Though I have disabled annotations now. Due diligence review knowledge quickly. Now, first of all, the knowledge you should take from the first paragraph, which we have just discussed. In a due diligence, there is one party, which is the buyer. The buyer wants to acquire a seller, right? The buyer wants to acquire a seller. In order to determine the right price to buy the seller and to get proper information about seller, to determine the right price for the seller and to get proper information about seller, the buyer hire the auditor to perform a due diligence review. So the buyer, in order to determine the right price to buy the seller, in terms of that, and to get proper information about the seller, the buyer hires the auditor to perform a due diligence review. The auditor performs a due diligence of the seller, and provide information to the buyer so that the buyer can determine the price. Due diligence review is a review engagement, therefore offers a moderate level of assurance. Limited level of assurance. We know moderate and limited is the same. Moderate, limited level of assurance. So you're not giving a reasonable assurance because it's a review engagement. So being a review engagement, you are restricting the assurance level to a moderate or a limited level, which is one of the same thing, right? So this is some idea about diligence. Now tell me, are the 4 bullets clear to all of you? Now can you pick who is the buyer in the case? Now can you pick who is the seller in the case? Now can you pick who is the auditor in this case? Right, the examiner has used all the animals, cheetah, leopard, zebra. So it seems more like a zoo due diligence rather than a company due diligence. Right, so we have all animals here, right? We have leopard, we have cheetah, we have zebra. Let's start with the analysis of the 3. Now, what you have to do, you have to do 2 things, right? One, you need to do the valuation of the assets. And secondly, you need to determine the analysis of the company's operating profit forecast. Yes, the line is missing, right? Good. Okay. So what Leopard has to do? Leopard has to do, number 1, paste it. This is what the Leopard has to do, right? As an audit firm, a valuation of the zebra company assets and liability and an analysis of the company's operating profit forecast. So 2 things you have to do in this case. Now, this information given in the case will be about a seller or the buyer, because you are performing a diligence of a seller. So will the examiner give you information about the seller or the buyer? The seller, because that only is the way you can perform a diligence, right? So you have to conduct the valuation and you have to conduct the analysis of the profit. Now, why each matter is important? Because in every matter, there could be something which affects the valuation. And in every matter, there could be something which affects the profit forecast. Now, when the examiner was asking you a question, why each matter requires further investigation? Probably each matter requires further investigation because ideally, the matter would be affecting the valuation of the asset or liability, or the matter would be affecting the operating profit forecast. Are you getting my mindset here? So why each matter requires further investigation? Look at the scope. So either each matter requires further investigation because it's affecting the valuation, or each matter requires a further investigation because it's affecting the operating profit forecast. Is that clear? Let's start reading the 2 matters. Let's look at the first matter. Now, listen carefully. During the field work, you identified 2 matters. So you have identified the 2 matters of zebra while you were performing the due diligence as leopard. So leopard has identified 2 matters about zebra, which are important and needs further consideration. Let's look at the matter number 1, which you have identified as leopard while you're conducting the diligence of zebra. While reviewing the correspondence with customers in relation to the outstanding receivables, one of the team found a letter from a large retailer for which Zebra company produced a number of unique products. So you found a letter from one of the customer of Zebra, and this is a very important customer because Zebra produces a number of unique products for this customer. Unique products. So you're making unique products for this customer, which cannot be sold to any other customer. Can you sold these products to any other customers? No, because these are unique products, right? And you specifically make them for this large customer. Providing advance notice that they are not reviewing their purchasing agreement when the current one expired. Is that a bad news for Zebra? Because this is one of their large retailer, and this large retailer is telling us that we will not be renewing the purchase agreement when the current one expire. So is that a potential loss of a customer? Is that a potential loss of a large customer? Will that be affecting your sales in future? Will that be affecting your sales in future? Yes. And if sales are affected, will that be affecting your operating profit forecast? Will sales be affected for future? And will that be affecting your operating profit forecast? Very good. Now look at this unique products. Is there a risk that these unique products should be valued at the lower of cost or net realizable value? Unique products. Is there a need for the valuation of the unique products at the lower of cost or net realizable value? If there is any unsold inventory at the year end, how would you value the unsold inventory? How would you value the unsold inventory? At the lower of cost or net realizable value. And ideally, because these are unique products, the net realizable value might be 0. So will the unique products help us with valuation of the assets and liability? Will the unique products help us with the valuation of assets and liability? Yes. And the purchasing agreement expiring, will that help us with the operating profit forecast? Right? Okay. The customer advised that they are switching to a new entrant to the market who is substantially cheaper. New entrant to the market. Will this be affecting the operating profit forecast for the future? New entrant in the market. Will this be affecting the future sales and future profit of Zebra? New entrant in the market. Third, competition, rivalry, intense rivalry. A brief analysis identified that the customer provide on average 5% of annual sales. So is there a chance we are losing 5% of the sale by losing this large customer? 5% of the sales are provided by this large customer. So is there a threat that we might lose immediately the 5% of sales? And should we lose more than 5% because there is already a rival coming in the market? So is there a chance we might lose more than 5% because the rival will be threatening you and the rival will be taking your market share? So how many points are there under Meta 1? I think under Meta 1, there are 3 points which we need to focus on. Number 1, Zebra, large retailer for which Zebra produces a unique product. Number 1, Control C. Meta 1. Meta 1. And under the Meta 1, the very first good point we got is this one, Control V. Large retailer for which Zebra produces a unique product. Number 2, renewing their purchasing agreement when the current one expire. So they will be renewing their purchasing agreement when the current one expires. Second information. And the third information, a new entrant to the market has come in. So competition. And this large retailer provides 5% of the sales, right? Now, see how we read the case. Are you getting the way to read the case, everyone? Sorry, not renewing. I just copied the statement wrongly. Not renewing their purchasing agreement when the current one expired, right? 3 good points under Meta 1. If I explain every one of them, how many marks will I get? Because every meta I explain, I'll get 1.5 marks. So straight away, I'll get 4.5 marks. Right? Now listen to me, how I explain every meta. Now I pick up the first meta, large retailer for which Zebra company produced unique products, and I think about unique products. And I think about unique products. Number 1 point. The number 1 point for unique products is any unsold inventory at year end should be valued at lower of cost or NRV. Is that my first thought process? Is that right? So for the unsold part, this is the first. Look at the second one. What if management has some specific plant and machinery? Management has some specific plant and machinery used to make the unique products. What will happen to these plant and machinery if you have, I'm saying what if management have some specific plant and machinery to use to make these unique products? What will happen to them? Will there be a need to recognize impairment for these plant and machinery? Will there be a need to record them at the recoverable amount, lower of the recoverable amount or the carrying amount? Right? So is this impacting the valuation of the assets and liability? Is this impacting the valuation of the assets and liabilities? It is. So unique product, what is the thinking process with unique product? Either they need to recognize impairment if there have been some specific plant and machinery used in unique products. And if there is any unsold inventory, it should be valued at the lower of cost or net realizable value. Number two, what is the second product? Not renewing their purchasing agreement. Not renewing their purchasing agreement when the current one expires. That's the second point. Now for the second point, not renewing their purchasing agreement when the current one expires, the first point that strikes my mind is impact on future sales. Impact on future sales as the large retailer, provides 5% of the total sales. So 5% of the sales will be immediately lost, right? And this will impact your operating profits. Impact on the future sale if they're not renewing their purchasing agreement. Immediate impact is 5%. So impact on the future sales that the retailer provides 5% of the sales, and the impact on the profit, and the correlated impact on profit forecast. And the last point is more threatening, because the last point says a new entrant in the market. Control C, and you bring it above. And you say a new entrant in the market is a very major threat. And you say a new entrant in the market is a major threat, which means the new entrant can encroach market share of Zebra and can pull further customers away from Zebra. Is that right? Is a major threat, which means the new entrant can encroach market share of Zebra and can pull further customers away from Zebra, which could have negative impact on future sales growth and operating profit forecast. Full stop. See how many marks I will get. I will get 1.5 mark for a unique product if I explain it properly. I'll get 1.5 mark for 5% of the sales if I explain it properly. And I'll get 1.5 mark for a new entrant. So I can get straight away 4.5 mark for the meta number 1. But I hope every one of you is getting the point. What was the examiner asking? And the answer I put on your screen for every one of you. Now tell me, are you clear with the answer? This is just a sketch answer, but I hope you can fill it up. So why matter 1 requires further investigation? Is everyone clear? The matter 1 requires further investigation because there is a unique product which affects the valuation of assets and liability. Because the larger retailer is not renewing the purchasing agreement, which affects the future sales and profit. And there is a new entrant which affects the future sales and profit as well. No, you're not talking about going concern issues here, right? A new entrant coming in and one large retailer with just 5% sales going in will not affect your threat. 95% of the sales are intact, right? 95% of the sales are intact, only 5% are losing. So just by losing 5% of the sale, Chipu, you will be raising a going concern issue. That's very, very aggressive, right? If 5% loss of sales and you raise a going concern issue. I don't know why students like going concern issues so much. They try fitting going concern issue everywhere. They try their best to close every company in the AAA paper. They try closing every company in the AAA paper. I think you are better, all of you are better liquidator auditors. You should all be hired for liquidating the companies and doing the audit of liquidations. So I don't understand why you want the company to be closed every time. I hope you refrain from your aggression on going concern. I know you like it a lot. You cannot stop it. Because every time you don't understand something and you say, okay, company is not a going concern, close it off. Thank you so very much, Chifu, for raising this question. And that gave me one good thought process to make it a clarity. Thank you so much. Okay, moving onwards, right? The second meta. Let's see why second meta needs attention. Now, when you get to the second meta about Zebra, I hope you can see that on your screen, the second meta. It says, Zebra company owns a piece of land. So if they own a piece of land, so is it about the valuation? Yes, piece of land, which was given to them as a gift by the local authorities 10 years ago. So they got a gift as a land. Good. The land surrounds the entrance to the main production premises and is designated as a nature reserve. So this land is like a nature reserve, and you got this as a gift 10 years ago. Restrictions were imposed on the usage of the land. So there are some restrictions on the usage of the land by the authority, which has given it to you as a gift, which also limit who the owner is able to sell. Who the owner is able to sell the land in future. So this is a big problem. Now, what is written in the agreement with the government? Can Zebra sell this land to Cheetah? Who the owner is able to sell the land in future? The land has a zero carrying value because it was given as a gift. Now, if Cheetah gets this land, what should be the value of this land? And if Cheetah fails to get this land, then how will it impact the pricing of the Zebra? Because see, who the owner is able to sell the land in future. So is there a restriction who the owner can sell the land in future? Now, can there be two outcomes of this? Zebra can sell land to Cheetah, number one, and Zebra cannot sell land to Cheetah, number two. Is that clear? So I think in the second case, the problem is pretty simple, right? The problem is pretty simple. The meta number two, if you plot the meta number two on our screen, meta two, the meta two is about land as a gift. That's pretty simple. And when you look at land as a gift as a second meta, just give me 1 minute to arrange it. This is the points we got for the first one, right? The meta number one, we got these points from meta number one, and then we constructed our answer for meta number one. Just give me 1 minute if I can arrange the file in a good manner. So at least when you get this file, you can take a printout in a good style, and that at least can make your answer looking good. Okay, land as a gift. Now the problem with land as a gift is one, who the owner can sell, who the owner can sell. So why this matter requires further investigation, everyone? Who the owner can sell. So my concern factor here is, can Zebra sell it to Cheetah or not? If Cheetah is unable to get this land, it will not be part of the valuation of assets and liabilities. So you will not place any value to it. It will not be part of the valuation of assets and liabilities. And if Cheetah is able to get this land, an expert needs to be hired. An expert needs to be hired to put a value on this land, because you cannot put a value, right? You need an expert here to determine the value of this land if Cheetah is able to get this land. So put a value on this land to determine the valuation of assets and liabilities, to determine the valuation of assets. So I think there is just one good method here. That is, if Cheetah is able to get this land, 1.5 marks. And if Cheetah is not able to get this land, 1.5 marks. So there are two measures, you can break them down, able and unable. I hope you're getting my point here, everyone. So how many marks can we generate from land as a gift? 3 marks, good. And how many marks can we generate from large retailer above? Method number 1, 4.5. So 4.5 and 3 is how much? 7.5. And in total, how many marks we need to score? 12. So should we start writing the procedures now? Can you be able to convert this into paragraph form, everyone? Land as a gift and method number 1. I hope you got the structure of the answer. I hope you got this brainstorming must have helped you realize the structure of things in due diligence. I hope you got the mindset, what exactly due diligence is, what you do in due diligence. Right? Okay, procedures. Procedures for method number 1. Now tell me, for the method number 1, what procedures will I be performing? We have a unique product. They are not renewing their purchasing agreement because you read a letter from them. So you found a letter. So that means you've already reviewed a letter, because I think the question was telling us, okay, you reviewed a letter, right? And the new entrant to the market. So I think the letter was reviewed already. So that couldn't be a procedure, because you found a letter and from the letter you found this. So I think if any student write review the letter would be wrong. Okay, now tell me, what can we do for method 1? Tell me honestly. Let me put down the procedures. Method 1 and 2 procedures together. I believe there is so much we can investigate here for method 1 and method 2. The very first thing we can investigate about a meta is we can review the inventory valuation at the year end. We can review the inventory valuation at the year end performed by Zebra management, to confirm inventory is valued at lower of cost. Inventory is valued at the lower of cost, or NRV. We can recalculate ourselves. We can recalculate a sample of inventory valuation. We can recalculate a sample of inventory valuation to confirm that it is valued at the lower. Moreover, I'm just trying to make as much as possible. Moreover, we can review the impairment working. Sorry, we can first discuss with Zebra management. We can discuss with Zebra management whether there are any assets specifically acquired for the manufacturing of the unique product. So first confirm from Zebra management, are there any assets specifically acquired for the manufacturing of the unique product? Then review and discuss the need for impairment One procedure. Review the impairment working if the management has done so. Review the impairment working to confirm that management has determined the right recoverable amount, recoverable amount and write recoverable amount, full stop. So see, a couple of procedures can be performed on the inventory valuations, on the impairment. We can also review the future operating profit forecast. You can review the future sales forecast. We can review the future sales forecast to confirm the assumptions taken by management, about the potential loss or gain, from the new entrant into the market, from the potential loss from the new entrant in the market and the loss of the large retailer. What assumptions has the management taken? How will the sales be impacted? So what is the can I review the management working for future sales to confirm the assumptions taken by management about the potential loss from the new entrant in the market and the loss of the large retailer? And can I also confirm that the assumptions are realistic or not? To confirm whether the assumptions are realistic. So just 5 procedures on the first one, which is more than enough. So a threat of a new entrant, we converted that to a procedure. Impact on the future sales, we converted that to a procedure. So you can make a lot of procedures, right? Very good answer, Shivani. Discuss with Zebra management any potential customers in the pipeline with which already the negotiations are going on in the absence of the large customer. Very good, very good. So some of you are giving very good procedures, right? Okay, for the land, discuss with a legal expert whether the land as gift can be sold to the potential buyer. So you're discussing with a legal expert, right? Asking a legal expert, can the land as gift be sold to the potential buyer in the case of Zebra? So the legal expert will give you the better answer here. Discuss with legal expert whether the land as a gift can be sold to the potential buyer. If the land can be sold, determine the fair value of land for valuation of assets by hiring an expert. So you can hire an expert and the expert can confirm you what is the valuation of the land. So a lot of procedures can be put in. Already on your screen, you can see there is a list of procedures which have been taken in context. Is there any procedure which is out of context? Is there a journal land procedure? Is there a journal inventory procedure? Is there a journal impairment procedure? Or has every procedure been taken in the context of the case? So did we talk generally about impairment, generally about inventory, generally about land? Or did we talk about specific land, specific impairment, specific inventory? And you can make your own list, right? I'll be giving you one webinar at the end of my day 5 today, which webinar to watch for procedures. Yes, exactly, Shahrukh. You have to mold procedures from the case information, right? So for every matter, the information you got for every matter, you need to ask a question to yourself, what procedure will I make for this matter? For example, unique product, and ask yourself a question, what procedures will I make for unique products? Not renewing their purchasing agreement. What procedure should I make for not renewing the purchasing agreement? A new entrant in the market. What procedure should I make for a new entrant in the market? So these are facts in the case, right? And I've been very vocal in my previous webinars that you have to pick the procedures from the case information. I always tell that to my student. So something is happening in the case, right? And you have to determine the procedures around it. I'll recommend you one webinar at the end of the day which to watch for procedures, but just look at the tutor note here, which is very important before we wrap up. I hope you will be able to complete this answer now. You got plenty into it. Okay, now listen to this tutor note very, very carefully. When you are making procedures in the exam paper, remember, procedures should be case specific. That is identified from the information given in the case, study. That's the first most important rule of making a procedure. Remember, procedures should be case specific, that is identified from the information given in the case study. Further, ensure each procedure should start with an action. Look at my procedures. Have they started with an action? Review is an action. Recalculate, action. Discuss, action. Review, action. Review, action. Discuss, action. Determine the fair value, action. So it should start with an action. A procedure without action is useless. So procedure means you are doing something, right? Procedure means you are doing something. So how would you demonstrate you're doing something? Yes, Sadia, procedures are written in bullets, right? Procedures are written in bullets. Procedures, actions, additional information, evidence. These are 4 areas in the AAA paper which are written in bullets. There are 4 areas in the AAA paper which are written in bullets: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Further, ensure each procedure should start with an action. Sadia, in the AA paper, right? The F8 paper, you write procedures in bullets as well, right? So that's the same story in the AAA. Each procedure should start with an action, full stop. Each procedure should have a purpose. Each procedure should have a purpose or an objective. What is the objective of carrying out a procedure? What is the purpose of carrying out the procedure? Look at this. Review the inventory. What is the purpose? To confirm it's valued at the lower of cost or net realizable value. That's the purpose. Recalculate the inventory valuation to confirm it's valued at the lower. Purpose. Discuss with management. Why? Discuss with management to confirm is there any need for impairment. That's the purpose. Review the impairment working. Why? To confirm the right recoverable amount. So every procedure should have a purpose. So a procedure cannot be without purpose. Please be very careful about that. A procedure cannot be without purpose. And finally, each procedure should have a source. Source means either a document or management or expert, etc. Source. Let's identify. We have a source. Review the inventory valuation. So inventory valuation is the source. Green. Recalculate a sample of inventory valuation. A sample of inventory valuation is the source. Discuss with Zebra management. So Zebra management is the source. Review the impairment working. The impairment working is the source. Review the future sales. So future sales is the source. Discuss with the legal expert. The legal expert is the source. If the land can be sold, determine the fair value of the land by hiring an expert. Expert is the source. So look at this. Every procedure has a yellow, has a green, has a blue. That is how you make a procedure. If any one of you have watched my previous webinars, you are very familiar with the mnemonic I use in my webinars previously, which is known as CASP, CASP. A procedure has to be case specific, C. A procedure has to be starting with an action, A. A procedure should have a source document, S. And a procedure should have a purpose, P. So if your procedure has the 4 attributes, no one can give you less than 1 mark. But if your procedure has something missing, you will get 0.5 marks. Will you all remember CASP? I'll give you one webinar at the end of day 5 to watch, where I've done the CASP to maximum. So you will enjoy that webinar looking at CASP. So you can refine your procedures. You can rethink your procedures by watching a 3-hour webinar on procedure. But is everyone clear with this? So far, so forth? Are you all clear with this, everyone? Please confirm so we can move on to the next topic. Now tell me, when we looked at this question with marking scheme, we break the question, we read the question, we looked at the knowledge of due diligence, what's the purpose of due diligence, how you go about picking up the meta. What was so difficult in this question now in front of your screen? See, the case study and the requirements. The first thing always you have to do in exam paper is what? Read the requirements, at least for 3-4 minutes. If you understand the requirement, 50% of the answer is done. But if you don't understand the requirement, the case study above is useless. How important is it to understand the requirement? How important? Right? So has this question made sense to you? Have you got some mindset about due diligence? Will you be watching previous webinars about due diligence? Is everyone clear with the marking scheme? So if you watch my previous webinar, I've done the December 13 in that, I've done the December 15 in that, right? So just let me share something with you quickly. Look at this screen in front of you now. December 13, December 15, I've all done in previous webinar. So you will watch the previous webinar for December 13, December 15. I've done December 17 today. So 100% preparation, right, for due diligence. Okay, can we move out of this and look at the next one, audit of performance information on the same mechanism? Okay, great. Let's go back to the Word file. Now in the Word file, so far, so forth, since we started the day, we have put a focus on the due diligence review. Just let me make it proper, and we exit from this topic and we just start discussing things in order. Okay, I hope you understood the requirements. After requirements, we read the case for due diligence, December 17, question number 3A. We found knowledge about due diligence. We found what Leopard has to do. We plotted the meta 1. Let me take the meta 1 to the next page. We plotted the meta 1. We plotted the meta 2. Then we found procedures for meta 1 and meta 2. And then I given you some good tutor note at the end, right? Okay, I'll be giving you break. Don't be worried about it, Wiz. But just wait for 10 minutes for the break, right? Because we have to discuss the tips and techniques as well. So I just need to focus on the time very specifically, how much time we get for tips and techniques. Okay, let me set the topic and I'll give you the break. Audit of performance information. Audit of performance information. Now, this topic has also been covered in my previous webinars. You will watch it and you will gain knowledge. So I'll just try to sum up this topic today in my webinar, and then previous webinars will be helping you. Audit of performance information. Now let's go back to the presentation and see what you need to know about this topic. First of all, for this topic, again, just like due diligence, you should know the requirements. You should know how to go about knowledge. The best thing here is you have an article. So from the article, you can gain knowledge and the previous webinars plus the previous webinars. So knowledge can come from the article and the previous webinar. For due diligence, only the previous webinars. Marking scheme, I need to guide you about the marking scheme. And then how many times this question has come in the past paper? One in December 14, one in December 15, and one in June 17. These are 3 questions, right? I am doing December 14 today. And when you watch the previous webinars, The previous webinars will give you December 15 and June 17 and the knowledge. So you can be 100% on this topic, audit of performance information. Is everyone ready to set the structure and then take a break for this topic, audit of performance information? Now, first of all, you need to understand two things here. Number one is the terminology audit, and number two is the terminology performance information. Now, if you understand this, you will understand what exactly you need to do in the exam paper. You all know what audit is, right? True or false? You all know what audit is, right? Audit is an examination, right? Audit is an examination. Audit is an examination of what? When you look at a typical audit, the audit is an examination of a financial statement. But are we auditing the financial statements in this topic? No, we are auditing the performance information. So audit is an examination of a given information, It can be financial statements, or can be performance information, So the way you perform audit remains the same. The assurance level remains the same, but it can be of a financial statement or it can be of a performance information. Now, the important thing is what exactly is the performance information? Because we are auditing the performance information currently, right? So we should be clear what exactly is the performance information. Now, let's see what is a performance information. Now, when you look at a performance information, let me just take you to the interesting thing here, which is the articles on the website. Okay, can you all see the AAA articles here in front of your screen? Tell me. Right, good. Okay, in the technical articles, you go down till the time you find an article, performance and audit of performance information. Okay, can you see an article here, performance information in the public sector, everyone? On your screen, performance information in the public sector, right? I am just clicking on it and the article opens. Performance information in the public sector. Now, I have covered this article in my previous webinar, so you need to watch it. But I'm just trying to put a definition because the context is important before we do an exam paper. Now, you will read this article. I've read this article in my previous webinar, so you will watch it and enjoy it. But I want just to discuss something important from here. Okay, can you see this heading over here, the audit of performance information in the article? Right now, try to understand what it is. I'm copying this paragraph from here to here, Control C, and I've just highlighted this paragraph in front of your screen, and I'm giving you 1 minute to read it. Start reading it, and then see how much you understood on your own before I make my own analysis. This is a crucial paragraph of this article. Start reading. Those of you who understand this paragraph will survive the exam paper, and those who doesn't will be at a stress level. This is a simplistic paragraph to understand exactly the topic we are in today. Should I take it to my Word file, everyone? Okay, see this. I've just taken a paragraph from the article, and I just want to read that with you. It is worth reiterating the difference between audit of performance information, which is number 1 here, and the performance auditing. Is the examiner saying there are 2 terminologies? One terminology is the audit of performance information, and one terminology is the audit of, and one terminology is the performance auditing, right? So examiner is saying there is a difference between the two. One is the audit of performance information. Let's put that in black. And one is performance auditing. Let's put that in red. Now the examiner tells you, as both are likely to occur in the public sector. In the exam, we have seen questions on private sector too, and public sector both. So don't be worried about it. The parameter remains the same, whether it's a private sector or a public sector. Candidates are reminded, and this is a big problem, right? That it's difficult to remind candidates. Candidates are reminded that the audit of performance information, black, audit of performance information is concerned with the audit of the reported performance, against the predetermined objectives. The auditor role here is usually to report on the credibility, on the usefulness, and on the accuracy of the reported performance. Black. So is the examiner giving us the definition of what exactly is an audit of performance information, which comes to your exam paper? It is concerned with the audit. The audit of what? The audit of the reported performance. Who reports the performance? The auditor or the management? The management, right? Good. And the auditor will ensure whether the reported performance is credible, the reported performance is useful, and the reported performance is accurate. Can you see the three words: credibility, usefulness, and accuracy? And the one thing is, this is what the auditor has to do, right, while he's conducting the audit of performance information. And it is the reported performance. Which performance? Other than the financial statement. So reported performance can be anything, right, other than the financial statements, against the predetermined objective. I'll just give you examples of that. Exactly. KPIs, right? Key performance information. Examiner then tells us performance auditing. Performance auditing, should I put it in red? Red. Performance auditing is related to the evaluation of how the public sector body is utilizing resources. So how the public sector body is utilizing resources, and often focus on determining how the public sector body is achieving economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, sometimes referred to as a value for money auditing. Have you covered this topic, value for money auditing, in the AA paper in some context? The 3 E's audit, right? The 3 E's audit. The 3 E's audit, right? So examiner is saying the performance auditing is the 3 E's. The performance auditing is looking at the economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. Then the examiner comes to a crucial line. Examiner says it is the former that is the focus of the P7 syllabus. It is the former that is the focus of the P7 syllabus. What is former? Audit of performance information or performance auditing? What was written by the examiner former in the paragraph? Look at the paragraph. What was written former in the paragraph? Audit of performance information. And performance auditing was written later. So is the examiner saying later, or is the examiner saying former? Former, right? So what's former? Is former audit of performance information, or is former performance auditing? The former is audit of performance information. So what's part of our syllabus? The red or the black? Is red part of the syllabus? Is black part of the syllabus? Black. So should we just cut the red? Should we just strike through the red part? So no need to read the red part, right? Just focus on the black part. So let's put the definition of the audit. I'm copying this, and we're getting to the final discussion before the break now. Look at this. This is key for you to survive the AAA paper. Let me put this here in a box, and this is the key for you, right? This is the key for students. You should know this. Audit of performance information is concerned with the audit. of the reported performance, which is by the management, against the predetermined objective. So what are we doing in the audit? Number one, we are doing the audit of the reported performance versus the predetermined objectives to ensure that the reported performance is credible, useful, and accurate. Credible, useful, and accurate. Control C, Control V. So that's your objective. Now let me give you some examples quickly and wrap it up. For example, from the past papers. In the past papers, we have seen university. In the past papers, we have seen a private organization. In the past papers, we have seen a hospital. The examiner has given you diversified types of entities for performance information. Number one, example. The predetermined objective of the company is to provide donations to the charitable organization, right? That's their objective. Full stop. During the year ending 2021, the company has given donations worth $0.4 million to the local charities. Full stop. Now see this example. Is there an objective? Yes, there is an objective. And against the objective, have they given donations? Yes. So predetermined objective is that they have to give donations. And during the year, how much donation have they actually given against the objective? 0.4 million. Now, is 0.4 million credible, useful, and accurate? So auditor needs to be concerned about, is 0.4 million credible? Or is the management making a fake statement? Is credible and accurate? So what will the auditor do then? The auditor will perform the best thing he has, perform procedures to confirm that indeed 0.4 million was given as donation. So what you do in the audit, whether you're doing the audit of the financial statements or you're doing the audit of the performance information, procedures, because without procedures, audit cannot be performed, right? So management is claiming we have given 0.4. Is the management claim right or wrong? Very good, Hamza. Is the management claim right or wrong? So how would you confirm the management claim? By performing procedures to confirm that indeed 0.4 million was given as donations. So you might confirm the donation slips. When you give charity to a local organization, you get a slip, right? Donation slip. Or you might confirm the outflow from the cash book, because you must have given a cash donation. You might look at the bank transfer, or you might look at the cash books to confirm donation was indeed given, right? So is everyone becoming clear? What is exactly a reported performance? It could be any performance in the exam paper, right? But you need to verify that reported performance. You need to verify that reported performance. It could be environmental performance. It could be social performance. It could be a performance of a university. It could be performance of a hospital. So in the exam paper, the reported performance will be given in the case study. The reported performance will be given in the case and can be a performance of, in the past papers, can be a performance of a hospital, which has come in the past papers, can be a performance of a hospital, which came in the June 17 exams, can be a performance of a university, which came in the December 15 exams, and can be a performance of a private company, a profit-seeking company, a private company, which came in the December 14 exams. So examiner can give you performance in any form. It could be a hospital performance, a university performance, and in the private company, it was basically the social and environmental performance. Social and environmental performance is part of your CSR. Is everyone clear with the mindset? Will you be reading the article by the help of my previous webinars? Will you be completing the reading of the article on audit of performance information? But I hope you got the summary, which is exactly what audit of performance information is. Now, how much assurance you give in audit of performance information, what sort of procedures you do in that, please try reading the article, right? There are three important things which the examiner regularly tests in the past paper. In the June 17 paper, the examiner has tested the difference between it. Just let me give you a quick last glance knowledge from this topic. And we're taking a break and do the past paper right after the break, and then we'll go to the exam tips and techniques, which is where I just want to spend a bit of more time today. Knowledge from this topic. Just listen to me very carefully before I give you the break. In the past papers, examiner has tested direct knowledge from the article, audit of performance information in public sector, performance information in public sector, by focusing on, number one, difference between the audit of performance information and performance auditing. So this was examined in the June 17 paper, right? This question came in the June 17 paper for 3 marks. It was directly from the examiner article. Then the examiner asked about discuss relevance. What is relevance? Examiner asked about discuss measurability. I've covered these in the previous webinars. Discuss reporting. I've covered this in the previous webinar. 3 things. The 3 terminologies are given in the paper, article, sorry. In the previous webinar, I've covered what relevance is, what measurability is, and what reporting is. If I can show you the article, it's exactly in the article. Look at this, the article. Audit of performance information on your screen. We have read this paragraph, right? Number 1. You go down. Okay, can you see the reporting here? Reporting, number 1. So you'll read the paragraph about reporting and you will make notes about reporting, right? Because examiner asks you discuss reporting. So you should know reporting, right? Number 1. Okay, reporting, then go up. You will see a paragraph here, which is about measuring. Can you see measuring performance information as a paragraph, measurability? Right? And in the same paragraph, measurability, can you see a paragraph over here which says relevance? Can you see a paragraph here saying relevance means? So there are paragraphs about relevance. There are paragraphs about measurability. There are paragraphs about reporting. Please ensure you're reading the article about relevance. I've already covered in the previous webinar measurability, in the previous webinar reporting, in the previous webinar. So either watch it or read it. So this is the knowledge part of it, right? Which is extremely important for this topic. Now, right after the break, we'll start with an exam paper, which shouldn't take much time. Let me just put the paper in front of you before we exit for a break. December 14, right, is what we are looking for. Just give me 1 minute if I can remove every of these annotations from your screens, from this paper, so we can discuss it and wind it up. Okay, can you see this paper in front of your screen now? Please confirm me. Question number 3 from the December 14 exams in front of your screen. Okay, we're looking at the B part, right? The B part. Can you see the B part here? Down. And in the B part, can you see the objective given? And against the objective, can you see the performance given in the last column? Can you see the left column and the right column, objective and performance? Right? And the examiner then asking you a question. Discuss the difficulties in measuring, that is the examiner article, and discuss the difficulty in reporting, examiner article, on the social and environmental performance. So what difficulties will the management face when they're measuring the performance or reporting the performance? You have 4 marks here. Now, every difficulty, because it's a knowledge part, so every difficulty is worth 2 marks. So every difficulty is worth 2 marks. So how many difficulties you need to tell? Just 2, and wrap up the answer. 1 for measuring, 1 for reporting. Ends the story. Then the examiner says, recommend the procedures for the validity of the performance information. You need to write procedures for the validity of the information. Where is the information? Can you see the last column? Validity of the performance information, last column. So you need to see this last column, and you need to confirm whether the information given in the last column is valid. Validity of the performance information. So this is the performance information in the last column, and you need to confirm whether it is valid or invalid. 6 marks. So how many procedures will you be making for 6 marks? So procedures are worth 1 mark each. So pretty simple question. During the break, if you can plan it out, would be good enough. Just let me put this question in full on your screen. So during the break, you can read it. Just 1 minute, sorry. Can you see this question now? Is it readable to all of you with this font size? Can you all read this question with this font size on your screen? Okay, so we're taking a break now. It's like 7:07 in Pakistan. So we'll resume at 7:20, right? 7:20, we'll resume back, right? 7:20 p.m. Please be back to classroom. 7:20 p.m. So it's a 13 minutes break. Is that clear? I'm putting myself off for 13 minutes, and I will be off air, and I'll come back on air at 7:20. How was the session today? Have you learned something? Was it productive? Was it according to your expectations, below expectations, above expectations, on a scale of 5 to 1, 1 being poor, 5 being excellent, how it was? So you joined the session, now halfway through the session, how has it been? Okay, thank you so much, all of you. Take a break. We'll be back at 7:20. And please read the question during the break. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. 2 minutes away from the break. Jim, I'm just addressing your question. I asked a question concerning due diligence. Wouldn't we be bringing in an assumption, something which is not specifically provided for in the case study, if we consider that what if the company has a specialized machinery? Okay. See, Jim, if I'm taking your name rightly, when we were talking about the unique products, I did mention in my bullets that we should be thinking, is there any specific plant and machinery associated with the unique product? If I can just relate that with my work paper here. See this, Jim, I hope you can see this on the screen. I wrote here, what if the management have some specific plant and machinery use? So when you're not sure about something, so you start with that if analysis, and then you stretch your statement, right? So you will be writing your statement in a skeptical tone that if the management have some specific plant and machineries allocated to the unique product, then you should be discussing with management the possibility of the impairment of this plant and machinery. So I hope I'm giving you the right answer here, right? So I hope your stress level has gone down. Please confirm, have you got the right answer? So you normally start with an if or a possibility when the question is not clear. So you can tone your answer with if and possibilities when something is not sure or not clearly given in the case study. Is that clear? I'm waiting for your answer, Jim, right? Yes, if in this case is important, right? If you write incorrect purpose, Fatini, you will lose half a mark. So if half the procedure is right and half the procedure is wrong, to get half a mark for that, right? Okay, thank you. We are now moving back to the session. Welcome back after the break. I'm Kashif Kamran to the webinar to success for December 21 exam. This is the day 5. We are back after the break. We were looking at an exam paper for audit of performance information, which is right in front of your screen now. And there are 2 parts of it. One is the knowledge part, which is coming from the article. So please do read the article so you know what exactly is measuring, what exactly is reporting, and what exactly is relevance, which is extremely important. So please do read the article and watch my previous webinar. Now, when you look at this case study in front of you, I hope you got the chance to read that within the break. It says, your firm has also been engaged to provide a separate assurance on the Faster Jet social responsibility report. So you have to give an assurance on the Faster Jet CSR report, different from the audit report, right? This engagement will be performed by the Brown and Company Specialist Social and Environmental Department, and there will be no ethical threat by the provision of the service. Examiner is saying there is no ethical threat, so that's fine. And even examiner is not raising any question on ethical and professional issues here. They have a specialist department, so do they have competence? Yes, they have competence, right? And do they have any ethical problems? No, they have no ethical problems. So no ethical issues, no professional issues. Okay, an extract of the CSR report is shown below. So you have the extract of the CSR report on which you need to perform procedures. Now, the company has 2 objectives. The first objective of the company is to invest in local communities and contribute to charitable cause. So they have a social objective. They want to uplift the local communities and they want to give donations. And the second objective they have is to reduce the environmental impact. So one social objective and one environmental objective. And against that, they have the performance for the year 2014. So you can see they have a performance for 2014 given in the last column. Now, let's go one by one into each of the performance and let's start making procedure. The first performance is a donation of a $550,000 were made. Now, if they have made donations, Do they have any evidence for that as a company? Yes. They must have a cash book. They must have the donation slips. So can we review the donation slips? Can we review the cash book to confirm the validity of $550,000? Right? Bank statement. Very good. So they have made direct charitable cash donation to local charities, right? So they've given cash donations, right? So we can look at the cash books. We can look at the donation slips. So look at the center column. The center column will be helping you exactly how would you make procedure in the last column. So the center column is important, right? So cash donations. So can I review the cash books, right? Can I review the donation receipts for the first point? Very good. Okay, Faster Jet is an airline business. Look at the center column. Build relationship with the global charities. They want to build relationship with the global charities and offer free flights to them. So they want to build relationship with the global charities and they want to give them free flights because they're running a airline business. So in 2014, 800 free flights were provided. Now, can I check the correspondence with the global charities to confirm indeed 800 free flights were given to them? There must be a correspondence within the Faster Jet and the global charities, right? So can I review the correspondence between Faster Jet and global charities to confirm indeed 800 free flights were given? Because they say build relationship with global charities, right? And because they're running an airline business, will they have the ticket records? Can I confirm the ticket records for 800 free flights? Because they're running an airline business. So can I confirm this through the ticket record? Now they've given them as free. So how much was the expense on this? Because they didn't offer it at the market price, they have given them for free. How much is the expense which the company incurred for the free flights? $560,000 expense, cost. Can I confirm the cost to the ticket records, that how much is the ticket price per route? They have given 800 free flights. On which routes? Have they given this flight on from a route like UAE to London? Have they given this flight from London to New York? Where? Because every route will have a different price. So should I confirm 800 free flights were for which route or routes? And then should I confirm what is exactly the cost of that route given in the records of the company to confirm the accuracy of the $560,000? Is that clear? So can I review the correspondence with charity? Is everyone getting my point? Can I review the correspondence with charity to confirm 800 flights were given? Can I review the ticket records for free flights? Can I also confirm the ticket price per route? What is exactly the ticket price per route, right? Yes, Shahrukh, you can use it if needed, because if you're looking at an airline industry, you can use jargons like airline industry, but keep your jargons within the case study. Okay, $750,000 was spent. Now, something spent, can we check the bank statement or a cash book? $750,000 was spent. So can we again check this to the cash book or the bank statement? And 2,250 children attended the education days. Can we check the attendance register that how many children attended the education day? See what is written in the center column. The center column says local learning initiative and offering 1-day free education program to schools. So the school must have submitted the attendance records, right? The school must have submitted the attendance record to Faster Jet. So can I check the attendance record that how many children attended the education day of the free 1-day education? And can I review the bank statements to confirm $750,000 was spent? Can I review the correspondence with schools that $750,000 was indeed given to the schools? Can I review the board minutes? Can I review the board minutes for the approval of $750,000? Because that's a big amount, right? So I hope you're getting the track that you need to pick the performance in the last column and you need to convert the performance into a procedure. I've already covered this in my previous webinar, but the purpose today was just to guide you. I hope you're getting the guidance right. So what you need to do when you're making a procedure. Let me go back to my support file. Okay, let's start with performance information. Let's start with this question here, which is December 14. Yes, Shahrukh, why are we discussing December 14 paper when I instructed you to practice September 18 onwards? September 18 onwards, Shahrukh, is for the topics which comes regular. But this topic we are discussing has only come thrice. December 14, December 15, and June 17. So I have to choose the better of the three. There is no question on this topic, September 18 onwards, Shahrukh. Then what should I do? Should I not practice any question in the webinar? So I am the tutor, right? I know for a regular topic, you have to be September 18 onwards, like risk, like ethical and professional issues, like procedures, like evidence for reporting. But for other questions, which comes once in a blue moon, what should be done? If a question comes 3 times in last 10 years, then what should we do? Should we not practice it at all? I'm waiting for your answer, Shahrukh. Thank you. So please, if a tutor is doing something, so there is some logics behind it, right? Okay, we're looking at the December 14 paper, the question number 3B. And in terms of this question, we just need to focus on writing the procedures. And again, a reaffirmative that when you're making a procedure, procedures is equal to case facts converted to procedures. Case facts converted to procedures by using action, by using source and purpose. Will you all remember this? So whenever you are making a procedure in the AAA paper, anywhere, case facts converted to procedures by using action, source, and purpose. So what is the first fact of the case? Donation of $550,000 was made. That is the first fact of the case, right? So if you're making a procedure on this, how would you make a procedure on this? I would make my first procedure by saying, number 1, review the donation slips as an evidence that donation was indeed given to the local charities, right? Will that be a good procedure? Yes, I started with an action. Donation slip was a source, and the purpose was indeed donation was given. So I have all the three. I can review the cash book to confirm the outflow of $550,000 as donation given to local charities, See, look at my procedures. Are they starting with a action review? So action has to be in yellow. Action is in yellow, right? Then I should have a source. Let's put source in green. I have the donation slips as my source. I have the cash book as my source. Then I should have a purpose in blue. A purpose in blue. So I have the purpose here. Indeed donation, indeed given, was indeed given is my purpose. And to confirm the outflow was my purpose. So every good procedure moves around facts of the case, action, source, purpose. So you are guaranteed to get 1 mark. I hope you're getting my point here, right, everyone? Okay, so in this way, the next procedure we had was 800 free flights to global charities, and $560,000 was the cost, was the expense the company incurred by providing these free flights, right? So the first one is, yes, Hamza, you can write the word sample. You can say review review a sample of donation slips. Fine. Review a sample of donation slips because there could be many. That's fine. So that's logical. Okay, 800 free flights. So we can review the correspondence. We can review the correspondence between Faster, Jet, and the global charities to confirm that 800 free flights were given and acknowledged by the global charities. Whenever you give a free flight, you must have got a thank you email from the global charity. Thank you for the free flight, something like that. So I think that thank you email will be like a good evidence to confirm that there has been an acknowledgement by the global charity of the free flights given. Further, you can review the ticket records, because it's an airline business. Review the ticket records to confirm that 800 tickets during the year were issued as free. And you can further confirm, you can review the cost per route. You can review the cost per route on which the flights were offered, to confirm the accuracy of $560,000, because management is claiming that we incurred a cost of $560,000. So you need to confirm that, to confirm the accuracy of $560,000 as an expense, because you given them free, right? So it's an expense for the company. So you can review the cost per route on which the flights were offered from the cost record to confirm the accuracy of $560,000 as an expense. So see, again, I have a review. I have my procedure starting with confirming, to confirm. Every procedure has that to confirm here. Every procedure had that to confirm, and every procedure had that to confirm. So that's quite common. And every procedure is starting with an action verb: review, review, and review. And every procedure has a source. Correspondence with the FasterJet, correspondence is a source. Ticket record is a source. And again, the cost record is the source. See this, learn this. You can watch my previous webinars on the same question. The one I've recommended you, I have done other procedures as well, so you can complete it out. I've done the other questions on the same topic in the previous webinars as well, but I hope you're getting the track. The importance of reading the article, I have covered the part A in my previous webinar, right? So please don't be worried about it. You need to watch the previous webinar, L. So when you watch the previous webinars, you will get the answer to part A, right? Don't be worried about it. Okay, so is everyone clear with the structure of this topic, audit of performance information? Are you clear between the difference between an audit of performance information and a performance auditing? Are you clear with the marking scheme of this topic? 2 marks for knowledge and 1 mark for procedure. Are you clear with action, source, purpose? So I think there were some students asking for spend a bit of time on procedure, right? So I hope spend a bit of time on procedures have been done, and you watch my previous webinars for procedures as well. So I hope you're getting the layout of this topic, and you will continue watching my previous webinars recommended you at the beginning of the day today. Just let me reconfirm that. How many questions you need to do for this topic? 3. And are the 3 covered in my previous webinars? Yes, together with this one. How many questions for due diligence? 3. Have they been covered in my previous webinars? Yes. How many webinars I have covered, recommended you? September 21 and 2 March 21, day 4, day 5. So if you cover these 3 webinars, that's total of 9 hours, and you will get everything. Keep a pen and paper with you when you're watching a webinar. Take notes. And this webinar to success, along with the 3 previous webinars, will be like perfection to syllabus area F. I hope you're getting my point here, everyone. And Adil, I'll just be guiding you the webinar for procedure once I move to the end of the day 5. So don't be worried about it, right? So I'll give you a specific webinar for procedure, Adil. Okay, so is everyone clear with this? I hope you are all clear with the marking scheme. I did mention the marking scheme when I was discussing the topic. In a due diligence, matters are 1.5 marks. Procedures are 1 mark. If any knowledge area comes, like benefits covered in my previous webinar, 2 marks. Any knowledge part is 2 marks in due diligence. In a performance information, 1 mark for a procedure. And then when you look at the knowledge part, every knowledge part is worth 2 marks. So I hope you're clear with the marking scheme of both the topics. Okay, now we're moving towards the final span where I just need to spend like an hour, and we just under 1 hour from here. So that is a good enough time which can be spent on a very crucial thing right in front of your screen: tips and techniques to pass the AAA paper. I hope you're all ready and you will listen to me carefully for the next 50 minutes, because this 50 minutes can change your perspective about the AAA paper and how you will move closer towards success, because that's the title of this webinar, Webinar to Success. Is everyone ready? Is everyone clear with things done so far in the webinar? So just let me wrap up my support file. So this is the end of the support file for the question. Just let me move to the next page, set up the tips and techniques, which we have to cover over the next 45 to 50 minutes. If you have any Q&As, I'll keep 10 minutes for that in the end. So please control your Q&As. We're just moving towards the final tips and techniques to pass the AAA paper. And a lot of things will be covered. So just control your emotions. And if you have any question, quite possible you get the answer to that if you listen to me carefully. Okay, let's start the journey, everyone. Now, first of all, I'll try to cover the content I have on the presentation, and I'll keep moving away from presentation to Word file and back again, just to ensure we have a very quick discussion on every aspect today. Okay, starting with it. The tips and techniques to pass the paper, day 5 of the webinar to success. First of all, a very frequently asked question which came to me in the last couple of days when I was looking at your Q&As was the time management, right? I have been very clear about time management in all of my previous webinars. And again, this is what I normally tell students about time management, which is right in front of your screen. Now, I hope you can see there are 3 questions coming here. Question number 1, 2, and 3. The green is telling you the writing time, and the blue is telling you the reading time, the reading and planning time, right? It's given over here, if you can see the flow chart at the bottom. So the green is the writing time in minutes, and the blue is the time to read, sorry. And the green is the time to write. So ideally, how much time should go in? Now, the question number 1 has 24 minutes of reading and planning time and 73 minutes of the writing time. The question number 2 and 3, each one of them has 12 minutes to read and plan and 37 minutes for each one of them to write. If you follow this marking scheme, that's good. Sorry, the time management scheme. So see, one thing which I want to make clear very, very honestly. The average of the good students who pass the AAA in the first attempt, if I have a discussion with them, they tell me that we are able to complete 90 to 95% of the paper. So some of the good students leave 10% paper, and some of the good students leave 5% of the paper. That's quite okay. But if you are leaving more than 10% of the paper, then that's risky. Now, if you have done a very above average paper and you left with 20 marks, quite possible you might pass. But if you have done a below average paper and you left with 30 marks, it's quite possible you will fail. So it depends upon that. Even if you completed 80% paper, but that 80% paper you completed was with quality, was with above average, you can still get 50 out of 80. But if you have done a below average paper, getting 50 out of 80 is difficult. And that's where the student flunk at 47, 48, and 49. A lot of time you sit down with student and you ask them why you got 48. And when you start investigating, they will very politely tell you, I was left with 10% of the paper. I was left with 15% of the paper. And that's the issue. You got 49, 10% paper remaining. You got 48, 10% paper remaining. You got 47, 15% paper remaining. Imagine. So it's about maximizing it. It's about maximizing it. The more, the better. Practice makes you perfect. Practice makes you perfect. Now, I just want to give you one very good conclusion here. If I just take you to the practice platform, can you all see the practice platform on your screen? Can you all see the practice platform on your screen? Please confirm that. Okay, you can all see that, right? Okay, we go to one paper from the practice platform, International ACC Official Resources. And in the ACC Official Resources, we open a paper. For example, we open the paper, the practice exam 1, right? And we just go down and open the practice exam 1. Okay, practice exam 2. Okay, we just open the practice exam 2, right? Okay, and you come to the question paper. We want to start. Yes, we want to start it. Okay, let's start it. Yes. Okay. Now, one advice which I would like to give to all of you is that you should start with your strongest question first. And this is an advice given by the examiner in the recent article, in the recent examiner reports of the last 3 sittings, that the students who starts with their strongest question first have a better average of passing the AAA paper. Now, there are 3 questions, right? You come to the question number 1 on your screen in the computer-based exam. You have 3 hours and 15 minutes, right? So the moment you come to the screen in front, the time is 3 hours and 15 minutes, right? Which is 195 minutes. Now, immediately you open the partner email because you know that the question number 1 requirements are in the partner email. So you open the partner email immediately without wasting time. And you just see, okay, what is the examiner asking in the partner email? Business risk. Oh, am I good at business risk? Am I bad? Risk of material misstatement. Am I good? Am I bad? Procedures. Oh, I am so good at procedures. Then matters to be considered in deciding whether to accept the engagement. Oh, that's like practice management. And something about fraud. That's pretty knowledge, fraud. Okay, so am I good into this business risk of material misstatement? No, I'm a bit average. Okay, let's close the window. 2 minutes gone of 3 hours and 15 minutes. I go to the next window. Section B. I'll open the requirement number A. Okay, what's the requirement A asking for? Using the analytical review, identify the matters which may cast doubt on the going concern status. Going concern. Oh, I just prepared going concern 3 days ago. I'm so good at it. Explain the evidence with respect to a cash flow forecast. I've done evidence very good. So I think this is one of a good question I can start with. Question number 2. And then you open the next requirement C of this question. What is the requirement C asking me? Explain the possible reasons why directors may not give disclosure about going concern. Okay, so okay, I can do it, but let's see what's in the 3. I go to the question number 3. I'll open the requirement of the question number 3. 4 minutes gone, approximately, and I look at the question last. Discuss the procedures for anti-money laundering. Oh, anti-money laundering procedures, 4 marks, bonus. Evaluate whether there are indicators of money laundering in the question, 6 marks, bonus. Ethical and professional issues, 15 marks from the case study. Okay, now 5 minutes gone of 3 hours and 15 minutes. I have to take a decision. Which question should I start first? 3, 2, 1. And in 5 minutes, this has to be taken. So out of the 3 hours and 15 minutes, 5 minutes gone. So you're left with 3 hours and 10 minutes. Take a decision. Take a decision. So how much time will you spend in the exam hall taking a decision? Will it be 1? Will it be 2? Will it be 3? Right? Which question will you start with? How much time will you spend in the exam paper for that? 5 minutes. In the question number 1, you press the partner email. In the question number 2, you press the requirements. In the question number 3, you press the requirements and just quickly read it. And which question requirements are soothing to you, start it. Whether 3, whether 2, whether 1. There is no ordering, right? Start with whichever question you want to start. Is that clear to all of you? So out of 195 minutes, your 5 minutes will be gone when you're choosing which question to start with. So you're left with 190 minutes. Now, with 190 minutes, you make a different mechanism. Let's go back to Word file. Please keep a calculator with you quickly. All of you, keep a calculator with you. I just need quick answers from you. Any one of you should have a calculator because I'm searching for quick answers once I ask you. Tips and techniques. First, attempting the paper. Number 1, you have 195 minutes in total when you start your exam paper. 3 hours and 15 minutes, right? First 5 minutes should be spent on reading the requirements of each of the 3 questions. Do it at home when you're practicing at home, right? Each of the 3 questions. So any question you do on the platform, keep a timer with you, keep a watch with you. Reading the requirement of each of the 3 questions should be spent on reading the requirements of each of the 3 questions to decide which one to start with first. So you are now left with 190 minutes versus 3 questions to be attempted. Now, as per the rule of ACCA, 1/4 time should be spent on reading and planning, which you don't, and that's the reason you fail. Reading and planning time, RAPT, and 3/4 time of the 190 minutes should be spent on writing. If you follow this, great. If you don't, you will fail because 1/4 is quality. 1/4 is quality. And to get quality, you need to invest on 1/4. Now tell me, if I have 1/4 reading time and 3/4 writing time, I go to the question number 1. Question number 1 is worth, I have 190 minutes, 100 marks. So that's equal to 1.9 minutes per mark. So I've come to question number 1. Question number 1 is 50 marks. So 50 marks multiply by 1.9 is equal to how much? Question number 1, 50 marks multiplied by 1.9 is how much? 95 minutes. Okay, 95 minutes total. Now, how much time? RAPT. Tell me the RAPT time. 1/4 of 95 minutes. 1/4, 24 minutes still. Okay. Okay, and what about writing? 3/4. 3/4 on writing. How much would that be? 71. 71. Okay. I hope you're giving me the right answers, right? Because I'm just trusting your answers. If anything is wrong, then you are to be blamed, not me. Okay. Is that clear? Now we get to the question 2 and 3. Question 2 and 3, because they're all equal, they are 25 marks each. So multiply by 1.90. How much time should I give to each of the 25 marks question? 25 multiplied by 1.9, 48 minutes to each of them. Okay, what should be the RAPT for the section B for each question? 12 minutes for each. There are 2 questions, right? Okay, rounding off, 23.75 is not making a big difference, right? Writing time for each of the section B question. 36 minutes. Okay, thank you. Writing time for the question 3/4. It comes to 36 minutes for each. Okay, will you stick to it? You can only stick to it if you practice 5 questions on the same time mechanism at home. Keep a timer with you. Keep a timer with you. I'm coming to that, Suraya. Keep a timer with you, right? Keep a timer with you. Keep a timer with you. Something like this. Keep a watch with you. Put a timer. Put a timer. Put this watch on your table and start. And ensure you fit with times. If you do 5 questions on a real practice platform with a timer on your table, you will ensure efficiency. You will ensure the time is scaling down. You will ensure the pressure is improving your quality, because the pressure means you are writing more in less time. The pressure means you're writing more in less time. So how many drills you have to do with this time management? 5 drills at home, right? Do 5 drills at home with the time management. Do 5 drills at home with this time management above on practice platform. Otherwise, this is useless. Otherwise, this is useless. You expect I do it for the first time in exam? You believe you will do this first time in the exam? No, it's useless. On the practice platform to be good at. Now, there was a very good question coming from Suraya, because I normally answered that question to students in each of my previous webinar. Suraya was asking if the time ends for one question, should we move to the next one? Definitely. Not one question will make you pass the AAA paper. If you believe one question will give you 50 marks, you're wrong. If you go after one question, I've seen students who start the question number 1, and to excel the question number 1, they take, instead of 95 minutes, they take 120 minutes, 2 hours, just to excel the question number 1. But now tell me, if you took 120 minutes in question number 1 just to excel it, listen to me very carefully, because this is the most important tip we are discussing, because that's where the success lies in the AAA paper. Look at this as an example and tell me how many of you have done it in the past. Suppose Q1 has a 95 minutes timer. One student, to excel the Q1, went to excel question number 1, took 120 minutes. One student to excel question number 1 took 120 minutes. Imagine this excelling is costing the student heavily, because he or she will now run under time pressure in Q2 and Q3, and possibly will not be able to complete a good set of paper. Look at this sentence. If you go after excelling one question, you are compromising the other questions. 2 hours on one question, then you're psychologically just left with an hour on the remaining 2, in which you have to read and write. Every question contributes to your success. So every question has an ideal time, spend and exit. Let me write this down. Tutor tip 2. You will get lots of tips today in the next couple of minutes we have. for the session. And probably, I hope once you read them at home, you will really enjoy them. Look at this tip. Every question contributes to your success, and each of them has a time. Do the best you can within the time, and exit when time is up and move to the next question, because opportunities are awaiting you in the next one. Opportunities to score are awaiting in the next question, awaiting in the next questions. Read this sentence and tell me to how many of you this makes sense. Just read these tutor tip number 2 and tell me to how many this is making sense. But I hope you will implement it, because that's the big problem. I think there is a big expectation gap between the webinar you watch and the implementation you do. But honestly, every student who have attended my previous webinar has passed if he or she has implemented the techniques of the webinar. But if you still want to do what you want to do, and if you still want to go with your own philosophy, then results might be different. So I hope you like the tip number 2 on your screen right here, that every question contributes to your success, and each one of them has a time. Do the best you can within the time and exit when the time is up and move to the next one. There are opportunities awaiting you in the next question. There might be 4 simple marks in the next question. List the anti-money laundering procedures. 4 easy marks, you're losing it. There might be 10 easy marks in the next question asking you recommend the procedures on going concern, and you're losing it. So why are you wasting the opportunities over excelling one question? There are opportunities in every question, right? And you will regret yourself in the last 10 minutes if you don't do this. Are you clear, everyone? So is everyone finding this time management valid, effective? Have I demonstrated that on the practice platform, that you run over the requirements in 5 minutes, choose the one to write the first, and 5 minutes gone, you left with 195 minutes and you start with it. So back to the presentation. So I hope some sense has come out of the time management, right? 1/4 time should be spent on reading and planning. You never realize the importance of that 1/4 time. Every student who read and plan will pass. I hope my webinar, every day I was reading the requirement, I was planning the requirement, I was into the case study, I was brainstorming. The more the better. Right? Reading and planning contributes to success, not writing, because you can only write when you have done a good reading and planning. You cannot even write when you've done reading and planning. Try to imagine the input of writing a good answer. What is the input of writing the good answer? Reading and planning. What is the input of writing a good answer? Reading and planning. And you don't do that. 5 drills on the platform starting tomorrow for all of you. 5 drills on the platform for all of you. Move next. Analyze the paper quickly. Look at the left and the right, analyze the paper. When you look at 100 marks paper for AAA, honestly and with clarity, look at the left-hand side. This is what is ideally in the paper. Every exam sitting. Risk, procedures, ethical and professional issues, reporting, and professional marks. This is the mainstay of the paper. So what you should do over the next 1 week: improve your answer on risk, improve your answers on procedures, improve your answers on ethical and professional issues, improve your answers on reporting and professional marks. Because this is the mainstay of the paper, which has to come every single exam sitting. On the right-hand side is maybe or may not be. Maybe or may not be. Sometime you get a question on practice management, sometime you don't. I hope you know what practice management is, right? Yes, Hamza, in recent past, practice management has come regularly, but not in every single exam sitting, right? So we cannot say it's a mainstay, but yes, in recent past, examiner has focused a lot on practice management. But practice management may be and may not be. But practice management, I hope you all know what that is, right? Practice management means matters to consider when accepting a new audit client, or matters to consider when accepting an engagement from an existing client. I've covered them in previous webinars. Evidence, not procedures, evidence, quality control issues, other assignments, the one we've covered today, and current issues. They may or may not be. Money laundering may or may not be. Zayan, I'm not giving any stance because since the computer-based exams have come in, ACCA is making multiple AAA papers for different markets in different countries. So there is no one AAA paper. There are like 7 to 8 or 8 to 10 AAA papers which are made. I think most of the time the question 1 for every paper is the same. It's the section B which keeps changing. And sometimes the question 1 is different for different countries and 2 and 3 is the same. So there are some similarities and dissimilarities in the question papers coming across the world. The paper might be different in Singapore, might be different in India, might be different in Pakistan. Some countries at the same time zones will have same paper, different time zones will have different papers. So is everyone clear with the paper? So what's the core of the paper which will help you pass? The left. Look at the core of the paper, right? Look at the core of the paper. And imagine in the next one day, how good you are in the core area. How good you are in the core area. Just let me make you realize one thing quickly, and before we exit from this discussion. Understand the core paper. Understand the core paper. Understand the core paper. Sorry, I forgot the C. Understand the core paper. Honestly, when you look at the core paper, this is how it should look like. You have professional marks, which are 4. You have risk. Risk is on average 20 to 24 marks. Risk on average is 20 to 24 marks in every exam sitting. You look at procedures. I think procedures in every exam sitting is like 8 to 10 marks. You look at ethical and professional issues. There can be a rare skip. But when you look at the ethical and professional issues on an average of last 7 exam sittings, on average, ethical and professional issues has been like 8 to 10 marks. And when you look at reporting, reporting and completion comes together. So when you look at reporting, reporting on average has been 15 marks in the past 6 to 7 exam sittings. Look at this, sorry, marks. Marks. Look at this. Look at the contribution of the core paper. So you need to be strong in this in the next 7 days, and then you focus on the other areas. I hope you're getting some sense from this core area. I hope this core paper makes you realizable of the fact that where the practice has to go. Is that clear to everyone? Should we move back to the presentation? Core and the non-core. Recent changes in the syllabus area G. Can you expect something in the December 21 exams? Now, I was very vocal that whenever a current issue comes in, the examiner should write an article, right? But I believe things might change in future because examiner wants the student to be aware. I think that word is very risky. In the syllabus area G, examiner was saying students should be aware. Now, I believe this awareness was linked with the examiner article in the prior history. So examiner writes an article, right? Like for example, examiner wrote an article on data analytics and it came in the exam paper. Examiner wrote an article on an exposure draft on the code of ethics. It came in the exam paper. Examiner wrote an article on risk and understanding the entity and it came into the exam paper. But I believe things might change. I think on the day one of my webinar, when I was covering the syllabus area G2, I did guided you about these 2 areas, audit reforms. And I think I shared a hyperlink with you on audit reforms. if I'm not mistaken, on the day one. And the impact of the global events on audit practice. I did share a link of that event on the day one of the webinar. Am I right? Am I wrong? Thank you. If anyone missed that out, please help those on the WhatsApp group. Now, a good thing for you. I think next week, by like the mid of November, I will be doing 2 sessions, which I will be uploading on my YouTube. And you all know my YouTube channel, right? So the good thing is, I even posted in the WhatsApp group. When I do a session and it gets uploaded on YouTube, I'll share the link with you in the WhatsApp so you don't miss it out. I will do 1 session on audit reforms, just to make student realizable of the fact that what audit reforms are and what you should expect in the exam paper if any question comes in, even though the examiner has not written an article. And I will do 1 session on the impact of the global event on the audit practices. So please, once the session is done, I'll share a link with you on the WhatsApp. And if you are watching my YouTube, you will get that on the YouTube. But I try my best to do it by like before the 20th of November. So before the 20th of November, these sessions will be uploaded. But please ensure that you are also exploring the links, right? So I believe examiner might ask you something about audit reforms even without publishing an article, or might ask you about impacts on global events without even putting an article. So rather than regretting, we should be prepared. I think we should be proactive now, right? And I think that's what the examiner wants to see student doing in future. The examiner wants the student to become more proactive with the syllabus area G. Is that clear? So will you wait for these sessions on audit reform and impact on global event? So recent changes and what to expect in December 21. It might come, it might not come. You might even see a paper without 0 audit reforms and 0 global events. But is it better to be prepared than regret after? Is it better to be prepared or regret after? Right? So if I'm prepared, nothing comes in the exam paper. Is that better? If I'm not prepared and something comes in the exam paper, is that better? I hope you're getting my point. Move next. Look at the opportunities. Look for opportunities. You don't look for it. You look for threats. You look for something which mess up your paper. You look at something which makes paper difficult. Why don't you look for opportunities in the paper, like reporting, like risk, like ethics, like procedures? Why don't you look at opportunities? 80 to 85% of the paper might be opportunity. 10 to 15% of the paper might be a challenge, because you cannot expect everything as you planned in the AAA paper. It's a AAA paper. You cannot expect everything as you planned. You are not the examiner, right? But 80% of the paper is controllable. 20% of the paper is a challenge if I look at the last 7 exam settings. So if you score chunk of marks from 80, and if you just score like 3-4 marks out of 20, you can still pass. So don't come under panic if 20% of the paper you don't understand. Don't come under panic. First, focus on 80% and leave some time at the end of the paper for 20% of the paper. You have a computer-based exam, right? So in a paper-based exam, we have to leave a space. But in a computer-based exam, I don't need to leave a space, because I can insert something within my word processor, right? So I hope you're understanding my point here. In a computer-based exam, you don't need to leave a space for a question to be attempted after, because you can just insert it whenever you want to and wherever the answer. So look at this. Don't get stressed out if you don't know a requirement. Why a 5 marks requirement is spoiling you 95% of the paper? Why a 10 marks requirement is spoiling you 90% of the paper? Why a 20 marks requirement is spoiling you 80% of the paper? Every exam sitting, you will be knowing 80% of the paper, or like let's be safe, 75% of the paper. At least you know 3/4 of the paper, and you don't know 1/4, for example. Now, if you are a good student, should you first focus on the 3/4 and you try to complete the 3/4 of it? And how much time you should leave for the 1/4 paper, which you don't know? 1/4 of the 190 minutes, right? 1/4 of the 190 minutes you leave for something you don't know. So 1/4 of the 190 minutes, what is that? Please, can someone give me the answer? 1/4 of the 190 minutes? 48 minutes. Okay. So you should leave 48 minutes at the end of the exam paper. And once you have completed your 75% paper, now you have 48 minutes, right? And in 48 minutes, you have 25 marks you don't know. Now, in 48 minutes, what best you can do for the 25 marks, what best you can think for 25 marks, do it. At least try to score from the 25 marks, at least like 7 to 8 marks, and try to aim of getting like 44, 45 marks out of the 75 marks you've attempted. But if you get stressed out, you might get 0 marks out of 25, you don't know. But if you are an intelligent student, can you just grab something out of 25, like 7, 8 marks, leave the others? So at least those 7 to 8 marks are better to make you pass. So sometime you get stressed out. And when you get stressed out, what you do? Disaster. You spoil everything. So look at the manageable paper first. Look at the challenging paper in the end. Are you getting my point? Look at the manageable paper first, write the answer. Look at the challenging paper in the end. Leave the time in the end for a challenging paper. Let me write this down on my tutor tip sport file, because this is an important tutor tip. Third tutor tip for today. Tutor tip. Focus on the manageable paper first in the exam hall and leave the challenging paper to the end. Suppose you know 75% of the paper. You know the 75% of the paper in the 5 minutes when you were reading it, right? In the 5 minutes you were reading it, right? Suppose you know the 75% of the paper and don't know 25%. Don't know exactly means that you blur on it, right? Exactly don't know is not a right terminology. And you don't know 25% of the paper, but you're not good at it, of the paper. So first complete 75% of the paper in 190, multiply 190 minutes, and these and 0.75 of the 190 minutes. What is 0.75 of the 190 minutes? Please tell me. 0.75 of the 190 minutes is equal to how much? 142 minutes. Okay, 143 minutes, right? Rounding it off. And then in the remaining time, try to do the best you can to fetch as many marks you can out of 25 marks you don't know in how much time? In 190 multiplied by 25. In 190 multiplied by 25 is equal to in 47 minutes. Is that a bad bargain, or is that a good bargain? Is that a situation where you plan yourself carefully? Is that where you need the alert mind to think in exam? Bad decisions spoil you in the exam. And so many times I've seen students that they don't take the right decision. See, if I had been a student of ACCA and I had been through this, when I used to attempt my ACCA papers, I used to go to the exam hall. We used to have the pen and paper exams. So I first used to analyze my paper in 5 minutes, what I know and what I don't know. And then I say, okay, this is what I don't know, leave it. I'm not bothered about it. This is what I know. Let's first complete what I know. And because it was a pen and paper exam at that time and I was a student, so I used to leave spaces. And exactly in the last 30 minutes or 40 minutes, depending upon how much paper I don't know, I used to come back and then see, okay, what best can I do? I try to read the case, I try to read the requirement, I try to make some sense out of it, and then try to do my best out of it. And that was the reason that in all across my 14 papers, there was none paper when I was failed in any paper. Yes, my marks could have been low and highs, but never the failure, because that shows your right decisions in the exam hall. So if you are a clever student and you take the right decision in the exam hall, you will pass. But if you're not taking the right decisions in the exam hall, you're getting stressed out, you're spoiling your exam setting, you're wasting the money you have paid as fees to ACCA. I hope you're getting my point here. Is that clear? Is that a good tip? Is that something you will seriously think about, all of you? Great, thank you. Moving next towards few of the last things. Leave it and move on. If you don't know something, leave it and move on. It's a computer-based exam, so you can come back and write an answer, so you don't even need to leave a space for that. Next, look for requirements where you can gain easily. That's what we were discussing, like 75% of the paper. Start with your strongest question first. Have I given you guidance on that? So in the first 5 minutes, you read and then decide which is the strongest question that you should start first. In the last 10 minutes, if you are left with a big chunk of question, you can revert to identifying points and putting a sentence against it, just to ensure you capture as many 0.5 marks. This is a tip I got from a place winner. One of her students, she got a place winner position, and I had a discussion with her, and she told me that I was left with a 15 marks question, and I just had 10 minutes. And I knew that if I attempt this 15 marks question in a paragraph form, I might not be able to complete even 7 marks. So in the last 10 minutes, again, you have to take a right judgment that instead of writing paragraphs and not even completing the 15 marks, at least in the 15 marks, suppose a question is ethical and professional issues, right? Just let me show you. You have 10 minutes left and you come to a question like such. Let's get to the practice platform. Okay, can you look at the practice platform in front of your screen? And can you look at this 15 marks question here? Comment on the ethical and professional issues arising from the review of the working papers and recommendations. How many marks we have? 15, right? Can you all see this? And you just have 10 minutes and a 15 marks question on ethical and professional issues and recommendations. If I go with paragraphing, I write a threat and justify why it is a threat and I write an action, I might not even be completing a 6 marks of the answer. I have 10 minutes and I have 15 marks. Now, if I am a good student, I'll just go to my word processor and open my word processor, 10 minutes remaining, and exactly 10 minutes is remaining for the session today as well. So we can just fit it excellently. I have 10 minutes, a 15 marks question. I'll just put a heading, ethical and professional issues, like this. And I just put a heading, actions, like this. And I'll just read the case quickly. I'll go to the case, review of the working papers. Examiner was saying review of the working papers, try to find the ethical and professional issues. So I'll go back to the case. I'll see where is the review of the working papers. Right here is the review notes. So I'll open the review notes. This is the review of the working paper in front of your screen now. See, this is the review of the working papers, right? I'll start reading it. And wherever I find an ethical issue, for example, I find the ethical issue, the audit team was invited to the annual office party. The audit team was invited to the annual office party. Control C, highlight in yellow. This is a familiarity threat. Audit team was invited to the annual office party. This is a self-interest threat, gifts and hospitalities. I take it back to my word processor. And I write over here, bullet, and I paste it. Audit team was invited and subsequently attended the party. And I just write in the bracket, self-interest, gifts and hospitality, gifts and hospitality. And I'll just write over here, hospitality and familiarity as well, because the team will not be because the team will be sympathetic. The team will be sympathetic, right? And I just move to the next point. Then I move to the next point. Then I move to the next point. At least you can write an answer in bullets. If the examining team will check my paper, will they give me at least half a mark for this, not one? They say, okay, the student picks self-interest, which is right, but because she or he was running out of time, could not write it properly, and familiarity. So examiner will say, okay, let's reward the student 0.5 marks for at least picking up the problem and justifying it as quickly as possible. So 0.5. It's Hassan Ali, that's not an issue. You use heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. All are applicable. That's why they're given in the exam paper. So you can use any heading format you'd like to. Yes, exactly, Shah Rukh Khan. In the last 10 minutes, when you are on the last side, definitely the examining team knows you are running out of time, right? Because you did this practice, Shah Rukh, in the whole paper? No, you just did this practice towards in the last requirement. So definitely the examining team is intelligent. They have checked how many papers. When I check papers of student over the last 11 years, I have become so clever that I can pick from the student writing that he's running out of time. I can pick from student a way of writing that he's running out of time. Then why not the examining team? Shiva Pras, if I'm taking your name rightly, you're continuously putting a question. Do ACC have a quota system that they only make 30% student pass? What is that? ACC is a professional body. Why will they have a quota system? This is a pathetic question, right? In the context of a webinar to success, and you again and again putting it. So I look at it and answer. So why would ACC has a quota system? Anyone who is passing, ACC has nothing against it. If you're passing, you're passing. You're failing, you're failing. ACC has no quota. You are an international qualification. Your accountants can work anywhere in the world. So why they have a quota system? So is everyone clear with this tip in the last 10 minutes? Shah Rukh, you are also clear? Right? So in the last 10 minutes, when you're running out of time, can you at least write the answer in bullets so at least you can wrap up the 15 marks answer? But if you go with paragraphs, can you write a 15 marks answer in paragraph form in the last 10 minutes? So can you do such practice? I hope you got that relevance. And I'm also running out of time, but I can just stretch 5 minutes over. So I hope you like this tip in the last 10 minutes on your screen. Okay, next. Gain as much of your 4 professional marks. Please try to increase your ability to improve professional marks. Try to improve like 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4. I've given you guidance on professional marks on the day 1 and 2, and even in my previous webinars. Calculate materiality across the paper where possible is a good skill to fetch marks. Don't lose this. Wherever you think materiality can be calculated, do it. Even though the cap in the first question has exhausted, still do it. Wherever possible, try to calculate materiality in the AAA paper because you are a manager and that's a good skill you can demonstrate. Comment on the accounting treatment where possible across the 100 marks paper, because again, that's a good skill which can increase your opportunity to score marks. So wherever you find an accounting issue, comment on the accounting treatment. Wherever you find numbers, comment on the materialities, because these are managerial skills which you can benefit from. Materiality calculation takes a time, Hamza. Just on the calculator, you find the answer. You're not writing the working of materiality, right? You just find the answer and you say, you just try to find an answer and you say expense is 10% of this, thus material. Just one sentence, right? Just one sentence. Okay. Be within the case, pick issues, justify them to score marks. This is the crux. To me, this is the key of success in AAA. Be within the case, try to find the problems within the case and justify them to score marks. Don't go out of the case. Lot of students go out of the case. Hypothetical thinking, assumptions, spoiling the case study, assumptions, useless assumptions, hypothetical assumptions, going out of the case and spoiling. So pick the issues within the case, justify them. So the more specific answer you write, you will pass. The more generic answer you write, you fail. Is that clear to all of you? There might be lots of questions. In the time pressure, I might be overlooking them. So if you have a valid question and you think I should be answering it, please put that on the WhatsApp group. So I will at least be looking at the WhatsApp group in the next 24 hours and responding to your valid questions. I think there's one coming from Shahrukh. Shahrukh, please just put that on the WhatsApp. Really sorry for that, but I'll try to answer it right after the session ends or at least by tomorrow. Please send me a reminder for that. Okay, key final tips. Remember the study planner and the article to read on the day one of the webinar. Do you remember the study planner I given you on the day one and the number of articles to read? Good. Practice more on the platform and use the blank workspace. I try my best telling you lots of tips and guidance about the platform. I did recommend it the blank workspace for questions not available on the platform. How many drills I've just mentioned you to do on the practice platform with the time management? 5. So at least 5 questions, right? Become familiar with the commands and functionalities of the platform. Bold, highlight, underline, become familiar, copy paste. So you don't face the problem in the real exam, right? Become familiar. If you have any technical problems on the platform, you cannot copy paste, contact your ACCL local office in whichever country or city you are in, because I cannot do anything with those functionalities if they're not working, because that's something technical which ACCA has to address. Spend time on reading and understanding the requirement. I've given you the time frame of reading and writing, 1/4, 3/4. And how much time, how careful reading is, I think you got this from my webinar today, right? 5 days. I've been reading requirements with you over the last 5 days, reading the requirements. Look at marks and decide how much to write. So if it is a 10 marks business risk, how many business risk will you write? 5, not 10. If it is a 6 marks procedure question, how many procedures will you write? 6. If it is a 7 marks reporting question, how many points will you write in a reporting question for 7 marks? 7. Please revise the marking schemes to know how much to write. Avoid writing name and reference number of the accounting standards. There is no marks for that. Again, I've made that very clear. If you read the exam technique article part 3, the exam technique article part 3 clarifies that there is no marks for writing the name and reference number of the accounting standards or auditing standards. Examiner do write it in the answer, because examiner answer is the guidance. Someone who is doing a self-study can learn from examiner answers. So don't just quote examiner answers every time. Don't drag your answer. For 1 mark, ideally, a 3 to 4 sentence answer is good enough. But see, procedure 1 mark. Procedure 1 mark is 1 sentence. Action 1 mark is 1 sentence. Materiality 1 mark is 1 sentence. Self-interest threat 1 mark, but you need to justify why it is a self-interest threat. You might go to 2 to 3 sentences. So sometime 1 mark is 1 sentence. Sometime 1 mark can be 2 to 3 sentences. You're writing an accounting treatment for 1 mark. Now 1 mark accounting treatment, for example, you look at research and development cost. Now you say research cost should be expensed out. 1 sentence. Is that the right accounting treatment? Research cost should be expensed out. Can you drag this statement? No. But that one short statement is giving you 1 mark. Related party disclosure should be given in the notes to the financial statement. 1 sentence, 1 mark. Sometime you cannot drag something. So there are lots of things in the AAA paper where you just write 1 sentence and you get 1 mark. Recap. One sentence, 1 mark. Procedures, actions, evidence, additional information, at least the 4. Procedures, evidence, additional information, actions, at least 1 sentence, 1 mark. Risk, you need to develop a point. Ethics, you need to develop a point. Reporting, you need to develop a point. Critical appraisal, we were doing critical appraisal yesterday, right? And how less we were writing for critical appraisal for 1 mark. I hope you know that. So please, there is no right judgment on how much to write for 1 mark because it varies from a topic to topic. I hope you're clear on that. Write a case specific answer. I hope I've been vocal on that in this webinar and previous one. And for audit procedure and evidence, watch this webinar. Now comes the final. Lots of questions came yesterday, today. Sir, tell us the webinar to watch for procedure. Even on the WhatsApp, sir, tell us the webinar to watch for procedure. Is that clear? So this is the webinar you should watch for procedures. June 21, day 4. June 21, day 4. Is that clear? So for audit procedures and evidence, watch this webinar. Okay. Before I just say you best of luck and wish you success, you can stay connected with me, your tutor, Kashif Kamran. You can email me any of your problems at my email ID, kashifkamran@gmail.com. You can WhatsApp me at my WhatsApp number, +92 333 238 3442. You can be on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/AAA by KK. And you can be on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Kashif Kamran. And you are on my WhatsApp group. So there are multiple ways you can reach me, but try to understand that I have constraint as a human being and I have a constraint of 24 hours. I cannot be 24 hours on YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, and email. So if you drop me a question, drop me a message, it might get answered in 3 to 4 days or 2 to 3 days or 1 to 2 days, or it might not even get answered. So don't have a grudge against me that I asked you a question, but you didn't reply. Because again, you need to understand, I try my best to answer, but you need to imagine I have a constraints of taking my regular classes, checking the papers, assignments. I have my own personal life. So I hope you understand the limitations, right? But still, I try my best to do every possible things I can. Okay, so I hope you like this webinar to success. You learn something out of last 15 hours from Monday to Friday, from 8th of November to 12th of November. I hope this webinar has given you some ray of hope for your upcoming December 21 exams, which starts from the 6th of December. And I hope you will be implementing the guidance, the techniques, which has been put your way by the tutor. And I hope you find the right strategy, the right track, the right direction to pass. Please, in the next 5 minutes, when I'm wrapping up this session, if you can just drop your quick feedback about the overall webinar to success on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being poor, 5 being excellent. And if you can put some thought process or some word of thoughts, that would be excellent. Now, I hope you found these tips effective. And one very important thing was that I will be putting some videos on the YouTube. I'll share the links with that on the WhatsApp group about the syllabus area G. So that will be more interesting for you. Anything I do in the next 10 days, which is for the benefit of the students, I'll put that on the WhatsApp group, right? So don't be worried about it. Because in the last 10 days before exams, I'm very much on the toes for AAA students. I keep putting posts on the Facebook. I keep putting short videos on the YouTube. So you might get a lot of stuff in the next 10-15 days, which might be really beneficial for all of you, right? If anyone is around you giving the AAA paper, any of your friend, any of your colleague and peer, and he has not attended this webinar to success, please do recommend him that to watch this webinar to success, because you can contribute to his or her success in that way. Okay, thank you so much, all of you, for being part of this webinar to success. It was a great delight to teach you to teach all of you. This webinar to success could not have been successful without your efforts, because we clap with two hands and we need to have a synergy effect as well. So thank you so much for taking your precious time out, watching this webinar, being live into these webinars, and then also appreciating it and spreading it. Thank you so very much. I wish you all a very best of luck for your upcoming exams for AAA in December. And my prayers, my well wishes are with all of you that you should be successful in the upcoming exams, which gets underway on the 6th of December. But be positive, and be optimistic. That's my suggestion to all of you, right? And be connected with me. Thank you so much. It's your tutor, Kashif Kamran, signing off from the webinar to success, the 5th and the final day. And I'll be more than glad to hear good news from you when the results are out. Be connected with me. I'm always there to help you out in the constraint of time. Thank you so much. Wish you best of luck. Take care. Goodbye and Allah Hafiz from your tutor Kashif Kamran, signing off from the webinar to success. Yes, Allah Hafiz, all of you, everyone who's wishing Allah Hafiz, thank you. Welcome again. Thank you, Allah Hafiz. Thank you so much, Jisha. God bless you as well. Thank you so much, Asha. Thank you so much, Dani, if I'm pronouncing it right. Lawrence, thank you so much. Arif, thank you so much. God bless you all as well who are wishing God bless you. Whoever is saying thank you, welcome to all of you, and Allah Hafiz to all of you. Okay, let's exit.